I have Mr. Dennis Keenan online with me. He is city councillor from Ward 1 and 5. And at the same time, he is now regional councillor also. So many of the city councillors in Brampton now are sitting in a region also. So they are city councillor as well as regional councillor. So Dennis Keenan and his colleagues, they have brought in a motion in Brampton City Council that the biggest problem we are seeing in few of the wards, few of the areas of Brampton is that many of the rental houses are overcrowded. In many of the houses we can see 10 to 15 to even 20 people staying there. And most of them are international students. Of course, we know that all these students coming from different parts of the world, particularly from India, Punjab, they need affordable accommodation. They can't afford to pay heavy price for the rental. But at the same time, we have to be very, very careful for their safety, for their all these kind of issues in case of danger of fire or other things. So a pilot program has been started by the city of Brampton to curb this, to deal with this situation. So let's ask Keenan what kind of motion it is and what's going to happen once this becomes a law in city of Brampton. Mr. Keenan, thank you very much for talking to us and good morning.
Good morning. It's great to be on, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So this issue is very, yeah. So this is very, very important issue for Bramptonian and particularly all those areas where number of these international students are staying. So you have brought in a motion. Please tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I second a motion by Councillor Rowena Santos. So I represent area wards 3 and 4. She represents 1 and 5. And this is a motion that we felt was very needed. It was direction to staff in the very first meeting that we had, because while we were campaigning, we had noticed a very serious issue within the city, and that being, how many people were being put into accommodations for cheaper income, and we've seen a lot of, international students being, put in situations that are very unsafe. And the last thing we want to do is have people coming over from another country to our country and us not taking care of them properly. And this was a motion that's really set around safety, and giving the city the ability to monitor those rental properties, putting in a code of conduct to make sure that those property owners are upkeeping the standards of the community in the neighborhoods that they put these houses in, and that we really focus on making sure that the accommodations are safe. And we don't want to have the fire department being called and having a terrible accident and loss of life. And we need, as a city, we feel that we really need to wrap our arms around this one and take it very seriously. And that's what we're doing. We're giving back some of the city the control to monitor and make sure that we have a safe community. And people that come here come and live safely. And we look at it from an affordability standpoint, that a lot of these international students are coming in and sharing homes with multiple people because of the dollar value. But then we have landlords that are just still charging them excessive money. You have 17 people in a house all paying $800 each to sleep on the floor. It's not right, and we need to make sure that we're providing safe accommodations for the people that live here within our city. And if this is the type of motions that you will see coming from this council, it's a council that cares about the community as whole. And just because international students can't vote for us doesn't mean that we're going to allow them to live in unsafe conditions. And when we put motions like this forward, we're changing how we look at things. Our communities will start to look better and feel better. People will feel safer. So it has a very big snowball effect, and I'm very proud of the work that council is doing and staff is doing. And right now, I'll just give you a brief what is the motion? The motion is was for staff originally to investigate what other municipalities were doing around licensing and code of conducts for rental properties, and for us to treat them like businesses because the people are making an income from them. And that original motion came back to council, and they gave recommendations. And so then our recommendation was from there. The motion that came behind that was to go ahead and implement a pilot project in wards 1, 5, 3, and 4, and then we added 7 because there's a lot of complaints around ward 7 as well.
Okay.
And we will be launching that. They have till the Q3 to come back with how we're implementing it, and then the program will start first quarter of 2024.
Okay. I have been interviewing many of our Minister of Immigrations, Federal Minister of Immigrations, and even our provincial ministers also, Dennis, and I'm asking them this question again and again, that most of these students are coming to Canada, are settling or residing in few cities mainly. So there is a concentration of these people in Surrey, BC, or in Brampton, if we talk about GT area. So what is their plan? How these people can be scattered? How what kind of a program or initiative we can bring in that they don't concentrate in few cities like Brampton. So that's the practical problem we have. They don't want to, even if some guys are studying in Barrie or far off colleges, far off areas, still they want to come and stay in Brampton. So that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, so when you think about a young person coming to a new country, they're going to want to feel like they're at home. And here in Brampton, we're very proud to be a very diverse community where everybody can feel at home. And I think that's part of it. I think it's part of when you leave your family and go across the other side of the world, you still need that sense of home and that sense of community. And I think that's why they tend to focus on City of Brampton or Region of Peel. And it also comes to, I believe that was the province's original intent when they came out with the student visa to do it in the outskirt communities to try to populate Sault Ste. Marie and those outskirt rural communities. The issue was when the students arrived, they didn't feel that sense of home. So then they would come down towards the City of Brampton, and then those other schools, because they have those visas or certificates in order to allow the students to come, they started opening colleges, smaller colleges within the City of Brampton, like Mohawk, for instance.
Algoma University, yeah, because they started with 30, 40, 80 students, and now there are more than 4,000 students in their Brampton campus.
Yeah, so when we look at a university like Algoma is a proper university. It's not what I call a plaza university. They started out small. They've expanded. They're one of the main people in the downtown core. They take over multiple buildings. I've been in their schools. They really care about the students. They care about where they're living. They care about their health. They bring in, so Algoma to me is a very good school for international students. But when I look at something like like another university that has one little campus in the corner of a plaza, I don't think that they're doing any justice. And I think that's something that the province needs to look into, is how we accept international students, where they're going to live when they get here. So a lot of this is on the schools themselves and the provincial government and federal government for how it all ties together. I think it's all three levels of government communicating with each other on international students, and I think that's the only way we're going to solve it.
Okay, I have already
at the same table.
Yeah, I have already discussed with Minister of Housing, Federal Minister of Housing, Mr. Ahmed Hussain, our Associate Minister of Housing provincially, Nina Tangli, that why they don't make mandatory for these colleges to have at least few accommodation available in their campuses for international student. When they come to new country, as you said, they need to have some kind of accommodation in their campuses. Few of them are cooperating, many of them are denying to have such, but it's their call. My question to you, last question to you, Dennis, is that these landlords, they know the law. So I don't know whether they are disclosing to the insurance companies that how many students or how many people are staying in that particular house, and I mean, in case of such fire or any that kind of accident, what is going to happen in these cases?
Yeah, so that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. If the program goes the way that we want it to go, so if you own a rental property, a basement apartment or a whole house or whatever, you must register it with the city. Once you register it with the city, we have the ability to, we're looking to have random inspection. So for instance, if the city receives a complaint about a house saying I see 17 people living here, well, we could then request an inspection and go in to make sure that the home is safe and the right amount of residents are living there. And there'll be fines and stuff associated to it. I really hope, we've had a lot of fires in the past few years here in the city of Brampton, and we've lost a few lives. And you know, it's so sad, and I do not want to see it, and that's the reason we're doing this. We will, we do have it on the table to fine heavily for people that do not want to follow the rules of this program.
Okay, and last question before you go. I know that you are going to City Hall and you have other important engagements over there. Okay, so what kind of penalties will be put on? And my another question will be that how you are going to enforce it. The biggest challenge is enforcement. So we have seen City of Brampton making few laws, but they are not being enforced, particularly during Diwali time. They put conditions every year before selling the firecrackers. It's a good thing that they have banned now, but in many of other cases we have seen that city don't have enough staff. So how the city is going to enforce it? And what are the penalties before that?
So as far as penalties and stuff go, that'll come back in the report to us prior to the program being launched. That's when we'll see what the actual fines and everything will be. As far as how do we enforce it? As you're aware, I was the one who put the motion forward to ban fireworks.
Yeah.
And I was told that I wouldn't be able to enforce it. I look at everything from a outside of the box perspective. If we continue to try to do things the same way, we won't get any different results. So what I did when it came to the enforcement project on fireworks for New Year's is we don't need enforcement staff to lay fines. So at the City of Brampton, we have thousands of employees that we can use to deter or deal with things. And I'll use fireworks as an example. On New Year's, I didn't just use one department to lay fines, which has 30 people in it. I used Public Works to monitor the streets and deter people and educate them that they weren't allowed to light fireworks on the streets. I put Parks and Recs inside of our parks, so anybody who came to light fireworks in the parks, Parks and Recs went up to them and said, here's the documentation, you're not allowed to light fireworks. And then people who lit them anyways, those are the ones that our bylaw officers went to enforce.
I don't understand.
So when we look at enforcement, we just have to look at the plan on how we do it. Everything is possible. I'll never take an approach, being a city councilor, that we can't do something. It's just how do we do it. So we will look at this enforcement the same way that we did with fireworks, and I'm sure we will have a solution. And that's just the way that we approach it. I'm happy with how the fireworks enforcement has been going, and I'm sure we will have a plan for enforcement at the time that we bring it forward for the pilot project.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you so much. And we appeal to our residents also, particularly the landlords, that for God's sake, don't do this. And once this is a law which has already been implemented in few of the wards, Dennis told me, and they will be doing same kind of a pilot program in other wards later on. So we request you also, all of our listeners, that don't do this. It's very, very dangerous, and it's a very, very critical for us to understand the implications of such kind of things. So please, for God's sake, don't do this and try to obey the law, and don't force the city officials to come to your house and put hefty fine on you. So please take care of these things. Thank you so much. You have to say anything at the end, Kinan?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. तो ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਵਾਰਡ ਨੰਬਰ 1 ਤੇ 5 3 ਤੇ 4 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਾਇਲਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਇੰਪਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ। ਹਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਫਾਈਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਫਾਈਨ ਵੀ ਸਿਟੀ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਬੜੀ ਜਲਦੀ, ਹੈਵੀ ਫਾਈਨ ਹੋਏਗਾ। ਸੋ ਬੈਟਰ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟਸ ਨੇ ਉਹੀ ਸਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਦੇਣ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਠਹਿਰਾਇਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ, ਰੈਂਟਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਘਰ ਨੇ, ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ ਰੈਂਟਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀਜ਼ ਨੇ। ਤੇ ਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੱਸਣਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਇੰਸਪੈਕਟਰ ਕੋਲ, ਸਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਸਟਾਫ ਕੋਲ ਰਾਈਟ ਹੋਏਗਾ, ਉਹ ਐਂਟਰ ਕਰਨਗੇ, ਇੰਸਪੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਨਗੇ, ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਾਈਨ, ਹੈਵੀ ਫਾਈਨ ਹੋਣਗੇ। ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਲਾਅ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਬਣਨ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਹਾਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਜੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਐਨਫੋਰਸ ਵੀ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਸਟਰੋਂਗਲੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜੇ ਲਾਅ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਲਾਗੂ ਵੀ ਸਖਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇਗਾ। ਪਰ ਉਹ ਨੌਬਤ ਨਾ ਆਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਰਿਕੁਐਸਟ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਘਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਰੈਂਟਲ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਰਟੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਵਰਤਦੇ ਆ, ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਰਟੀਜ਼ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਵਰਤਦੇ ਆ, ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਵਰਤੋ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਰਾਈਟ ਹੈ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਵਿਦਨ ਲਾਅ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ। ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਘਟਨਾ ਵਾਪਰ ਗਈ, ਵੱਡਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਔਰ ਪ੍ਰੂਵ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਿਸਰਿਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ, ਸਹੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਨਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਲੇਮ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਔਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਬੜੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਵਿਪਤਾ ਖੜੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗੀ ਔਰ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਚਾਰजेस ਵੀ ਲੱਗ ਸਕਦੇ। ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਬਚੋ।